The Flash, issue 7, legacy number 807. This is Cy Spurrier writing with Ramon Perez on the art. So, yeah, so this issue is mainly focused around Max Mercury and Bart Allen, who are in what they call the Icto. I kind of hated this name, actually, because when they explained what it was, like, oh, it's halfway between Tick and Talk, and if you look at TikTok, it's literally the end of one part and the start of the other.
Yeah, but you don't say TikTok, so it can't be Icto, you know? It's TikTok, so it should be the Icta, but yeah. But again, I appreciate what he's trying, right, to give us a different perspective on Flash, which I feel this entire run has done. It's giving us, like, you know, we're used to seeing Flash in 3D. This is at a complete fourth dimension to the Speed Force and everything. If all of this stuff can be believed, because now he's put the doubt in me about all of these, you know, extra dimensional beings and whatnot. You know, I don't know what to believe, and I think that's the point.
Yeah, it's such a weird run. Like, every time I come to an issue of this, I feel like there's so many ideas that, like, and this issue almost feels like it's poking fun at the fact that it knows there's too many ideas, because we have this character pop back up. He saves Bart and Max Mercury, this Pilgrim character, who, you know, in short, says he's basically a time cop, but the future doesn't exist anymore. He's like trapped here. Like, he could go backwards and forwards from the time of his birth to his death and whenever that's going to happen, but now he can't go further than a few months ahead, and it's because the speedsters have done something to the way time works. And first of all, I think it's Wade, the baby. That was, me too. As soon as he said to his birth, I'm like, well, whose birth have we had recently?
And he says that he was somebody that they know, just not know yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Plus, he describes Gold Beetle as kind of family, which to me says, well, if Bart and her are, like, married in the future, then that would make her family. So
you mean Jay?
Sorry, Jay. Yeah, not Bart. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. The one who had the flirting in the future with her.
Yeah. And just the fact that he seemed to know Jay when he was talking to him in those previous issues.
Yes.
You know, he was coming from a point of familiarity. That would check out as well, because that's his older brother. But yeah, the time cop that whole joke, that aspect of it, was very funny. When he says this whole big, you know, talks about, like, a cosmic spider and 3,000 hours of paradoxical math, and all of this stuff, or, you know, if we want to roll the option to a time cop. And so I thought that was, you know, that was worth the joke.
Yeah, and he basically explains a bunch of stuff to them and shows that he's got a bunch of speedsters in stasis, and they're basically trying to figure out what's going on, and that these arc angles, which have been brought up before, kind of gave a message to him, which kind of hinted at something. And it sounds like the solution was possibly to just kill a bunch of speedsters, and he's trying to do it a humane way by just capturing them and putting them in stasis until he can figure out what's going on. But as we're seeing here, with the sort of the subplots of the issue, Barry tries talking to Iris, and it's like Iris has had her mind messed with, where she's like just repeating herself, and like sort of, you know, like they'll have a conversation and she'll just start it again with Barry, and she's acting kind of weird, a little bit creepy, where she's like,
yeah, you mean Linda?
Sorry, Linda. I'm saying the wrong names all over the place today.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. But she's acting kind of weird and saying not to worry. And Barry even says, I think someone's messing with her head somehow. But even Barry himself starts getting really, he goes to like try and get Pied Piper. He thinks Pied Piper's behind it because of the mind like element of it. He's like, oh, this must be him. And he's like, no, I've been a good guy for a long time. And then Mr. Terrific comes in and like sort of neutralizes Barry and says, yeah, he's fine. I'd know if he'd went bad. And then starts explaining that Wally's had this extra ability recently where he can kind of shift to a different frequency. And obviously we know, they keep saying, where is Wally? And we know where he is. We know that he's in that, you know, the, what did they call it? The garden, the garden, yeah, his inner peace place that he's been going to. And we eventually see him at the end of the issue, and it seems like an arc angle has actually shown up. to potentially, I don't know, so we may actually get him interacting with one next issue. But these are very heady concepts.
The gallery is what
the gallery, that's the one.
The creature that he's talking to, like the wispy, right? Because that's not supposed to be the Archangel, right?
No, that's not the Archangel. No,
yeah,
no. Because
I had to reread this 3 times because I read this before bed and stuff wasn't making sense, and then I read it again with open eyes and it still didn't make that much sense. And then I gave it another reread, and then you know. So
well, I think that has been a consistent thing with this run, is that it is so dense and like almost intentionally complex and confusing at points that it's very easy not to take information in that sticks until the next issue. Because it cut to Wally and I'm like, okay, I get that he's here. I know this is a place he's been going. And I remember these plot beats. The stuff that I remember is the emotional, like, character interaction beats. It's the stuff like how Wally and Linda are doing. It's just how the kids are doing. It's the, you know, Jay's mysterious interaction with this Pilgrim character, and Pilgrim's talking about all this stuff with Max and Bart. But it's the bigger concepts when they start talking about archangels, different frequencies. This is the place that time forgot, and whoever this wispy character is that Wally's talking to. I'm like, I don't remember who this is. I assume she showed up at the end of the last issue, but I don't remember her.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, is this what the archangels look like? Because we haven't seen them yet. And then he starts freaking out, and you turn the page, and there's nothing there, except unless it's that big obelisk.
Yeah,
an obelisk, like the big statue that looks like an obelisk.
I think it's a statue, but it's also this thing where, which is also very angel shaped if you look at it, like it's got like sort of angel wings. But keep in mind, we also have the silence as well in this book. We've got you know those big Power Ranger looking like metaphysical beings. Yeah. There was points in this issue where Pilgrim is just throwing out sciencey words. Like, the best I can describe him, like he's talking about where he got data from, is a conscious hypergeometries, cosmological abstractions so complex that they become irreducibly simple. God damn it! Like
irreducibly,
thank you.
There you go.
But look at all those words back to back. Yeah. That paragraph is designed to be as confusing as humanly possible.
For sure. And you have to read it 3 times to understand what he's trying to get at. You know, I feel like I'm reading a physics textbook sometimes.
Yeah, and I do think it is it's a mark against the book at times. It's the part that makes it tougher to read. I'm kind of enjoying the run because I'm enjoying the big ideas that he's hitting at. I've been enjoying the art, which I do miss a regular artist on this issue. The art's not bad, but
it's just not Deodato.
It's a completely different style, and I get that it is focusing mainly on like other characters this issue, so you could argue that's why it sort of makes sense to have a fill-in artist in this one. But I was missing the, you know, we've had, you know, that typical grid layout with the extra like bits going overlapping at the edge of the page and all that. That stuff's been really consistent throughout this run. This is the first issue that's not had that, and it felt like a really normal looking book, which stuck out versus what we've had up until now. Yeah,
I will say though, like that page that you were just talking about, when Pilgrim gets up to that wall or whatever, and just the way that the right angles hit and the way that he kind of, it's almost like there's interference going on. Like he's being like
that panel is definitely interesting. Like, I mean, from an art style perspective, but I think what I'm talking about is the layouts. Like the layouts. I mean, I do like the line work and the regular artists as well, but the layouts are the thing that really feel a lot more normal in this. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It makes that really stick out when you finally get to that page of Pilgrim doing that, and it's all completely wonky. And then when you turn back, and it starts to get more like the Deodato stuff. Right, so I feel like he almost lulls you into a false sense of security in this, and then it all picks up. Because who's the artist on this one?
I had up a second ago. I can tell you it is
Ramon
Perez, yeah.
Yeah, so you can tell that he's trying to get it in line with what Deodato has been doing, especially by the end here, when all of those like all the panels get cut off there towards the bottom when the police arrive, and it's very reminiscent of Deodato. So,
when you say police, you mean all of the robots that are working with
Pilgrim.
Pilgrim, yeah.
Yeah, the time cops, the time police, if you will.
Yes. Just to be clear, because I don't think if someone hasn't read this, they won't get what you meant by that.
Yeah. The other thing that I really like that Spurrier's doing is the interactions between all the characters. So like a lot of the Max and Bart stuff at the beginning, I thought was really good because they are talking about these, kind of almost philosophical things, and we get Max, reiterating where he stands in the Speed Force of, the universe will provide, and I like how that all plays out over the course of the issue, because we get these two that are very familiar with each other, with Pilgrim, who's familiar with them, but they're not familiar with him. So just the way that Spurrier, weaves in the character work, it's really fun to read when you're not reading those big abstract words.
Yeah. Even the fact that Pilgrim, as it reveals and the characters kind of realize by the end, this wasn't just a rescue. He was also here to kind of arrest them and sort of trap them because this is what he's doing to try to save the world and the Speed Force and all that. But as he traps them, he says, "We just got to have faith that the universe provides." He basically quotes Max, and it's not because he was in the scene with them earlier. It kind of implies that he's also heard Max give these speeches, over his life. So those details are nice. It is definitely like I don't think because this book has jumped around some of the different characters anyway. I don't think just focusing on characters that aren't Wally justifies the different artists anyway. But it might have been nice if the last couple of pages when it goes back to Wally, like if Diodato could have just done those two, just to make it feel like, okay, we're back to Wally, so we're back to the regular visual style. But it is what it is. We have fill-in artists. We have to just kind of deal with it. Hopefully, Diodato's back on the next one. So it's dealing with big-headed concepts. I feel like sometimes I need to reread like bubbles left and right. This by far took the longest to read of any of my books because I had to like really focus, read an explanation 2 or 3 times to let it sink in and try and understand what the hell they're saying. So it's probably the book's biggest fault, because there's definitely ways you could get across these ideas and topics without making it so wordy at times. But it's almost like Spurrier's getting paid by the word, so he's gotta really make it flowery to make it worth his time, which I don't think he does, because again, I'm enjoying the themes and the character interactions. It's just when we get to that exposition-y stuff, it's hard not to tune it out, but I feel like it's very important too. So arguably there's maybe just 1 or 2 layers too many as well to everything going on with the stillness, and then the vanishing point, and the
and don't forget the Crown of Thorns.
The Crown of Thorns, yes. Which was a fun reveal last issue, don't get me wrong, but and
that's what I'm assuming is poisoning Barry's mind, is Thawne.
That would make some sense.
He's running interference to stop them from doing whatever. So, but yeah, it's this book is still a lot of fun. I do also like the cosmic horror aspect, like of what are these arc angles? They're stuff that we're not meant to see.
I like the feeling of the arc angles and how they talk about them as if they're this unknown thing we can't comprehend that is like interfering. Like that does give a bit of a vibe to it, which I quite like. But this run can definitely be bumpy at times, and this was maybe one of the bumpier issues in some ways, because the first issue with Pilgrim where he shows up at the school and talks to Jay, that may have been my favorite issue of the run so far. So clearly these characters and ideas are working, and I think I like the overall thing that he's doing with them, but there's definitely some kinks along the way that are...
It will be a run that I don't forget that we read, right? So when we talk about Spurrier's run on The Flash, his opening one, we're like, oh yeah, it was a super sci-fi heady, big wordy stuff.
You say opening, this could be his entire 50-issue run.
Let's hope not, because again, he's really good with the character stuff. I want to get back to the Flash being a family. All right, like that's the part of the Flash that I love. also the rogues. Like I don't want cosmic horror-y entities with the Speed Force the whole time.
I mean, we're already on issue 7 here, so it's not like it's a 6-issue arc. Like I think he's at least going to 12 with this stuff.
Let's do 12 and then we move on. then we go to Gorilla City, where we got to help them with something.
I don't know if Spurrier's interested in giving you the light, fun tale you're looking for, Matt. I think he wants to do big, heavy ideas.
All right, well then give him a Green Lantern book. I need my Flash to be light and fun.
I don't necessarily. I mean,
well, not when I say light and fun, because the Johns' run did get heavy, and so did Wade's. It gets heavy in points, but this is a lot. But it's fun to read. I'm never upset when I read it. It wasn't like in, we had the same kind of take on those early issues of Superman Lost, where it felt like we were just reading a physics book. But I want to come back to this through 7 issues, right? Like, I'm very interested in what's going on still.
Yeah,
it's just getting through
I'm
that.
more hooked in the overall plot of this than I ever was in Superman Lost.
Yep. So it just shows you that what Spurrier's capable of here with all of it. But yeah, Wally's freaking out. I do appreciate that. He's in the same mind space as we are.
Yeah. All right, what are you rating the Flash issue 7?
I'm gonna give this a 8.
I was 7. I think the art change and some of the big clunkier ideas. I'm going to have to go down to a 7, but I'm still enjoying the run. It's definitely got its quirks.